Today I want to talk about one of the most frequent struggles that comes up in my life, and one of the truths and realities about life that I apparently cannot accept, and that is the fact that I cannot do everything at once. By this I mean your friendships, your relationships, your job, your traveling, maybe you have like a side hustle or hobbies or children. There is not an ability to have all of these things be a priority at the same time, is what I mean, I think. Whenever I try to divide my energy a little bit equally between these things, I get so burnt out. This is what I mean, I hit this point all the time where I'm like, okay, I'm gonna make sure that I'm seeing my friends enough, doing enough stuff with my boyfriend, seeing my family enough, working enough, applying to enough jobs, doing my podcast, doing like other hobbies that I have, keeping the house clean, doing the food shop, getting groceries and like fitness, going on a run, maybe going for walks, going to the gym, swimming in the sea, reading books, enjoying my life, right? And I'm like, all of these things are equally important. I'm going to do them all. I never fail to hit a burnout, but I am learning this lesson on repeat, and apparently it's not going into my brain because I make this mistake all the time and then hit that burnout. The ability and I think skill of prioritizing in your life, right? All of those things that I've just listed, they're all parts of my life, they're all important things, right? But I can't have them all be the most important thing that I'm doing, or something that I'm putting in the forefront of my life at the same time as everything else. To me, in my experience, that is when you end up feeling like you're running around like a headless chicken in your own life. You can't catch a breath because it's almost like there's so much that it's a good problem. Like there's so many things that I enjoy and that I love doing and people that I want to make time for and things that I want to make sure I'm doing. But there's not enough time. This is my problem. There's not enough time, if I'm being realistic, in a day, in a week, to keep on top of all of these things at the same time. You need priorities, right? Maybe you're different. I would imagine you're not, though. I would imagine you've either figured this out or you're having the same problem as me. And I think personally, like, when I'm letting something or a few things in my life that I care about give a little bit, and I'm prioritizing things at that point in my life. For example, like right now, my priorities are probably work and applying to jobs and like just worky things. Alone time, that's the thing I didn't even list. Like that's yet another thing that needs to be upkept in one's life. That I would say is important to me at the moment, making sure that I'm balancing time that I'm busy with time that I'm like decompressing. This is the thing. All of these things are important to me. But I think it kind of reminds me of that triangle. I made a whole episode about this like months ago. And at like every point of the triangle, there's like, one of them is sleep, one of them is social life, and I think one of them is like work or studies. And it said like, pick two. You can't have three at the same time. You can have three in your life, right? You can get all three. You can have a good career and good friends and sleep well, but just not all at the same time necessarily. It's the art of prioritizing, right? And it's surprisingly difficult. Life is very fast-paced. There's so much to do. Modern life is impossible to keep up with already. Like everything is like so quick, even just going on your phone, social media, blah, blah, blah. Like it's an impossible standard to be able to keep up with the pace of life and juggle everything at the same time, and I think there is this expectation and this kind of like fake thing, this fake standard that you see again a lot of time on social media, and you feel like everyone around you is able to juggle all of the things in their life at the same time in perfect balance, because obviously people make it look like that's what they're doing on social media, not on purpose, but that's kind of like the nature of social media being like quite fake. And I think the reality is no one is doing everything at the same time. No one out there is doing everything in their life that's important to them and that they care about and seeing everyone that they care about all at the same time. Everyone prioritizes, and you go through phases in your life, right, where maybe your relationship is your priority, your work is your priority, and sleep maybe is your priority. That's fine. you still have friends, you can still have friendships, you can still see friends, but it's probably not the top of your list. Like, let me make like 3 plans every week, because you've got other priorities right now, and that's fine. But maybe in, a couple of months, maybe you've been in your new job for a while, and now that's a little bit more routine. You don't need to give all your energy to that. Maybe now you have more time to prioritize to going to the gym and fitness and seeing your friends. But maybe your sleep is a little bit gonna suffer because you're like going out a bit more in the evenings, whatever. And that's fine. Like, I think the reality is though that your life goes in phases where your priorities shift. And if you try to do everything at the same time, you will crash and burn, in my opinion, in my experience. And I say this because I literally I've like, to be fair, for the last like couple months, I've been like being pretty reasonable with my capacity, and I think I haven't like overspread myself too thin or whatever. But I did yesterday get that like, oh fuck, I've got so much to do, like I need to do this and I need to do this and I need to do this, like moment when I was at work. I just realized like, when you go through like a moment where you're like, I need to add that to the to-do list, I need to put that in my calendar, I need to do this, oh my god, I haven't done that, blah blah blah. You have those moments like that. That to me is like, I just want to prevent that. Like, I don't want to feel like that. I don't want to feel like I've got a million things to do and I'm always falling behind. That's the feeling I think it leaves you with, and it leaves me with, when you aren't, for me it's like, I'm not accepting the reality of the situation. I'm not accepting that I have a capacity and letting some things give and realizing that that's normal and that's human, that has to happen. It's almost like I'm trying to override that and find a way to do it all, even though I can't. Right? I don't know if anyone relates to this, but it's like, for some reason I think if I like lay it all out right in my calendar, then I won't hit that burnout, and I'll get to tick every single box somehow magically, and I'll feel great and I won't be too exhausted. And I think I've never had that happen yet. I think the only time I feel like pretty grounded and like sane is when I'm accepting the reality of what is currently my priority, and I'm respecting the capacity that I have at that moment. But I think it's so normal to like spread yourself too thin and not really honor, the capacity that you have, because of, like I said, I think social media really doesn't help, because it really gives off the impression that like you're the only one falling behind, everyone else is juggling everything at the same time and has a balance that you just can't find. You just haven't found it. When you try and do it, you're getting burnt out. But really, I don't think anyone's doing that. I don't think human beings work that way. I think that we have a certain availability and it will change. And I think for me, it is realizing that like I said, I can have all of the things that I want with my life, but not in the same moment. I can have great friends, I can have a great job, I can have fun hobbies, I can read lots of books, I can have alone time, but it's kind of gonna like fluctuate throughout my life, like as and when all of these little parts of my life are in the forefront and when they kind of go on the back burner. In the forefront and the back burner, it's gonna just kind of ebb and flow throughout my life. That's more realistic of like how it's going to happen. Like, I'll have all these things at points and I will be able to have these things in my life. However, in order to have that, you kind of need to let go of the like grip almost that like, I'm going to do it all, I'm not going to let anything give, I'm going to like somehow master my calendar and make sure that every single thing is getting ticked off. You almost need to let go and like release control over that and realize that like certain things are going to give, and that's okay, and their time will come around again in probably the near future when it feels right, when you have the capacity, when maybe something you're currently prioritizing doesn't need to be a priority anymore. For example, like I said, maybe you're starting a new job. That job is probably going to be your priority for a while. You're probably going to have to put a lot more energy, a lot more time into learning the ropes of that job. That's tiring, you're maybe doing more hours than you're used to. I don't know. Maybe that means for a period of time, you're not seeing your friends or your boyfriend as much. You're not seeing people as much. Maybe you're a bit less social, or go on like a bit less dates, or see your family a bit less because you're exhausted and you're working a new job. That's fine. Work and sleep are probably going to be your priorities. But like I said, once you've adjusted and that's become a bit more habitual, it doesn't require all of your attention. Maybe then your priority will shift again, you know? Like, again, maybe if you're getting into a new relationship, that's probably going to take over for a little bit. But there will be a point where that becomes routine and like other things are like your current focus in that moment. And that doesn't mean that you can't have the other things. They can kind of tick by, but they don't have to be current focuses of your energy. And I think that's a reality that is really hard to accept, because I think it's a mix of a lot of things. Like I said, I think social media doesn't help. And I also think the world is so fast-paced, and there is this just lingering expectation that we're going to be able to juggle it all. And I think we feel like we're failing, or like we're a bad friend if we, haven't seen our friends for a couple of weeks because we've been having to prioritize something else that's really important. Or like, maybe you feel like a bad daughter or girlfriend if you're like, oh, like I haven't gone on our like weekly date, I've cancelled the last two because I've been too tired. Or like, I haven't gone around to my family's for dinner because I've needed to see my friends because I haven't seen them for a while, and blah blah. Like, I think there's this guilt you can have if you almost let the ball drop in any court. Is that a phrase? I feel like I've made that up. And then you feel, that's the thing, you feel like a responsibility in a lot of areas, especially when it's with other people. You feel like you don't want to let people down or be a bad girlfriend, friend, whatever, mother, maybe, like all of these things. And I think that causes us to, again, like deny our capacity and override it by overbooking ourselves all the time, because we're like, I don't want to, like, just because I'm busy and I'm working a lot, that doesn't mean I shouldn't see my friends. Like, even though I've been at work 5 days this week, I'm starting a new job, I'm going to the gym after work, I'm exhausted, like, my friends have asked me to see them on the weekend, and I don't want to be a bad friend and be too busy, blah, blah, but, like, sometimes you don't have the capacity, and that doesn't mean that you're not their friend. That's the thing, like, real good friendships, they don't need to constantly be, like, the number one priority in your life. I think they can allow you the space to, have other focuses and be busy, and, like, that doesn't mean that you're not friends with these people. And if it does, if that means the friendship dies, or they take some offense to it, or whatever, that's maybe not the friend for you. Because I think, especially coming into, like, your 20s and, like, adult life, like, you're all going to be busy. You're all going to go through phases of your life where maybe you don't live anywhere near each other. Maybe someone's having children. Maybe someone's getting married and they're completely busy for, like, a year, just, like, organising their wedding and blah, blah, blah. And, like, I think that's just life. I think being a friend is being aware that you've both got your own lives and you're kind of just there to support, and that's normal. And I don't think that makes you a bad friend. I don't think it makes you a bad friend if you're like, I currently, like, love you, but, like, friendship isn't your priority right now because of other things. That's fine. I think, like I said, accepting the reality that you can have all these good things in your life, but you can't shove them all into the same calendar week, right? You might have to, like, you love your friends, but you might have to make a plan to see them all in, like, 3 weeks if you're really busy. Doesn't make you a bad friend. Doesn't mean your friends are going to leave you or hate you. If they do, again, not your friend, because that's just life. You're just being a human being, and that's normal. And I just think it's really important for your sanity and for my sanity to relieve yourself the pressure and the task to figure out how to do all of the things that you want to do at once. Maybe you, like I said, you've had a busy day, but you also want to keep on top of your reading and blah, blah, blah. And you get home and you've gone to work and you're tired and like, oh, I said I was going to read, I want to do it, blah, blah, blah. Maybe just go to sleep. Like, you don't need to keep on top of every single hobby and thing and friendship and job and blah, blah, blah at the same time. Like, right now, at this point in your life, you're too tired maybe to be reading a book a month. Maybe you really want to do that with your life. But right now, you don't have the capacity because you're busy prioritizing something that needs the attention right now. And then maybe that, again, it will take its turn, it will go back on the back burner, and then you maybe have more free time in the evenings. Now's your time. You can read more, you can do your little hobbies, you can paint, you can garden, you can go for walks, I don't know, whatever your hobby is, swim in the sea. Like, and I think the way to find out what needs to be in the forefront is listening to yourself. And I know this is my advice to, like, everything in life, and I do stand by that, to be honest, but I think listen to yourself. Like, what do you need right now? What do you currently need? What would feed you the most right now? Would it be seeing your friends and socializing, or do you feel like that is an area that you would really like fill you up right now? Or are you currently like, I'm just dying for alone time, like I just don't want a social plan for like a month, like I just need to ground, recharge, spend time alone? You know what you need, do you know what I mean? Maybe you're like, okay, I really need to focus on work, that's really important to me, and I also really want to be there for my family at the moment. Like, I really want to make sure that I'm there for my parents or my siblings or whatever. And like I think just picking like a small amount, like 2 or 3 things to be your current priority, and just like soothing that anxiety that like if you drop the ball in one thing, or like one thing isn't currently forefront of your mind, that it's failing or that it's dying or that like it doesn't exist. I think relieving that anxiety that, you know, it's okay to have a phase where that's not your priority right now, and like trusting that when that comes back around to be something that you have the time or the attention to give to it, that it will be there, you know, like anything worth having will be there. Like, no really good relationship or friendship or anything is going to like just wither away if you're too busy for a couple of months with something else. Do you know what I mean? You can balance it out. You can balance all of the things that you want to do with your life out in general, but just not at the same time. I feel like I'm making the same point again and again, but I want it to be clear because it's only recently somehow clicked in my brain that prioritizing is a skill that's necessary in life, in work and in your personal life, right? You need to decide what currently needs most of your attention, like 2 or 3 things, and stop trying to also make all the other things that you like and want to do the top 2 priorities, because you will burn out. You don't have the capacity to do all of those things. And I think you have to be like honest with yourself about what balance actually feels good to you, because we also have different capacities and we have different like social batteries and different desires for how much alone time we want, you know, how important our career is to us, how many hobbies we have. Like, some people have like loads of random like extracurricular hobbies, do you know what I mean? Like playing an instrument, like I'm a runner, I'm a reader, blah, blah, blah. Some people are not, like some people don't really have hobbies, but they're like, I don't know, something else I assume they're doing with their time, I don't know, something else is their priority. But like, we're all different and we're all very individual in terms of our like battery life for all of this stuff and like how many things we can juggle at the same time. But I think the idea that most people are able to juggle like 8 things at the same time, it's just an illusion that you've probably picked up on social media. I think if you talk to any of these people in real life, you actually sit down and like have a coffee and talk to them, they're not doing all these things at the same time. They're currently focusing on 1 or 2 things. They've just maybe posted photos of other things, but that doesn't mean that they're actually like, oh my god, how are they managing to like have a full-time job, see all their friends, run a marathon, like they've gone on holiday last month and then they've just announced that they're engaged and then they're doing this and they're doing, like, how the fuck? And then they're joining a book club, so they're reading a book a month, so they're like, what the fuck? And they're like posting what they're cooking for dinner all the time, which takes at least an hour to cook, and you're like, how, between getting home from work and also going to the gym and also cooking that dinner and also then seeing a friend, like, how the fuck? It's because it doesn't exist. You don't have that much time in the day. You don't have that much time in your week. You only have so much energy. It will be old photos that they're combining into some little like photo dump, right? They're not doing all of these things at the same time. It's an illusion. Every single person that you look at is prioritizing something in their life right now, whether they like directly know what it is, or they like directly could be like, yeah, this is my priority. They will be. Do you know what I mean? It's like when people say, you think you maybe don't have like a morning routine or an evening routine. You do. You just maybe aren't conscious of it, but you do the same things every morning and every evening. Maybe your morning routine is, you know, waking up, going on your phone for a bit, checking your emails, peeing, making a coffee, blah, blah. You're not like, oh yeah, like me and my skincare morning routine, blah, blah, blah. But we've routined creatures of habit. That's what we are. So like, it's not all necessarily conscious, but people will have current priorities, right? And if they don't, they will be frazzled and stressed out. They're the two options, to be honest. I think this is what I'm thinking life is. I'm thinking you either have 2 or 3 things that you're currently, or maybe it's a different number for different people, but some people it might just be 1. Like, they're like, my priority right now is work. That's it. Like, nothing else fucking exists. And that's the thing, you will probably have phases in your life where, like, something will completely take over. Like, maybe you've just had a baby, do you know what I mean? What are my 3 priorities? My child, my child, my child. Like, there's gonna be phases where, that's what I mean, it fluctuates depending on what phase of life you're in, what's going on in your life, where your attention is needed, you know? But if you've, you know, like I've just said, if you've just had a baby, you're probably not going to be up to date in all of the other things that you do. You're cooking and you're reading and you're walking. Like, that's just probably going to slack for a bit, and that's fine. Like, that's just how life works, even without just having a baby. Like, you've got something going on in your life, or something that's important to you, or that you're really enjoying. Maybe you're just really loving reading at the moment, and that's like all you're doing in your evenings. That's fine, but don't try and then also squeeze in 7 other things a week when there's something else you either need to do or want to do. It's fine. It will come around. That's okay. Relieve yourself of the anxiety and the pressure to try and do everything, because no one is doing everything. And I think when we accept that, we feel a lot more like there's a weight off your shoulders to realize that no human being out there is living up to the standard that you're trying to meet. We would all fall behind. We would all suffer. That's the thing. All the areas that you're trying to pour into would suffer. Your work probably wouldn't be that great. Your hobbies probably wouldn't be that great. Your sleep quality is probably shit. You're probably not very present on your weekly date with your boyfriend because you're like trying to do everything all at once. You meet your friend and you're probably just like not that like excited, because you're like, I'm fucking exhausted, and it feels like you're just going through life like ticking a box, done, working through your to-do list, go to sleep, start a new to-do list, tick, all the way through. You're not present. That's the thing. I think even just from a like being present and being grounded in your daily life perspective, you can't do everything all at once, or your feet are not on the ground, you're living in your to-do list, you're living in your head, you're not taking in any of those moments. Do you know what I mean? In order to actually get everything out of what you're doing, you need to not be doing a million other things at the same time as it. You know, and that's the thing, like, that is very important to me, to be present. And when I overextend myself in my life, spread myself too thin, I am not present. Even if I'm doing something really fun that I really want to do, I'm not fully there and fully enjoying it because I'm thinking about the next thing that I need to do, and I haven't given myself the time and the space to like digest the last thing I did, right? I'm just like running like a machine, and then that's when you hit, oh my god, I'm having a meltdown. I can't see any friends, I can't do anything, I can't breathe. Like, every single thing that I was trying to juggle, it's all dropped at the same time. That's what normally happens to me. And like I said, being present is really important to me. So in order to have that in my life, I think I need to accept, this is such a therapy session, in order to have that in my life, I think I need to accept that my life is going to fluctuate with what's important to me in that moment. And it doesn't mean that the things on the back burner aren't important to me. It doesn't mean that I don't love my friends. It just means that I'm like really enjoying or needing to do something else in that moment. And that's the thing. Your friend that you maybe feel like, oh shit, I'm being a bad friend because I cancelled my last 2 plans because I've just been too busy, blah, blah, blah. They also will probably have a few priorities that are like taking over and moving around and fluctuating. We all have that. Their priority is not constantly you and you being a good friend. Like, take that pressure off too. That like, we're all focused on what we're doing and we're all quite busy. Unless you're being an actual piece of shit friend, then you don't need to worry about that. You're just a human being and it's an adult friendship, and people generally understand that. And if they don't, they're not being realistic. They need to accept that people have lives. But that's the thing, I've had phases where, this is why it doesn't work, because I've had phases where my priorities have been, I don't know, friendship has not been like top of my priority in that moment, or like social life, I should say, not just like, because friendship's great, but my social life has not been like a priority. But I'm not acknowledging that and accepting that. So I will still make plans. Like, oh yeah, I'll see that person Wednesday, see that person on Saturday, blah, blah. When it comes around to it, I don't have it in me to do it. And I'm like, fuck, why did I make this plan? I'm too tired, I'm too busy, like, there's something else I really need to do and I don't have time and blah. And then I will like have to cancel, which I hate doing. I hate cancelling plans. I hate being like an unreliable person. Stresses me out. But sometimes it has to be done. And then I make myself feel worse because I'm like, fuck, now I'm cancelling plans, and I cancelled the last plan with that person. They're going to think I'm a shit friend and they're not going to want to make a plan with me anymore. But it's like, that wouldn't have happened if maybe I just messaged them, you know, if they reached out to me like, oh, hey, when are you free next week? We should do something. And I was like, I'm really busy with work right now, and, you know, I'm really working hard on like applying to jobs and making blah, blah, blah. But can I, like, I'll message you in like a couple weeks when I'm free, but like right now I'm just really busy. No one really fucking cares. No one would care, people understand. But saying like, oh yeah, I'll see you this Saturday, when it's like, you don't have it in you and you're probably going to cancel, is worse. That's a worse thing to do. Like, worse things come from not accepting your capacity and not acknowledging what you have in you to give, than if you were just honest with yourself and other people. You know, again, maybe you go see your family like every weekend or something and you're like, I'm probably not going to make it this weekend because I have an assignment due, or maybe you're at uni and you've got like a deadline, or you and your boyfriend have both been really busy for like the last few weeks and this is the only weekend you could actually have like one-on-one together. And that's currently more important to you. That doesn't mean you don't love your family, but currently the most pressing thing is connecting with your partner. You can see your family next week, you saw them last week, like maybe that is currently more important, and that's fine. That's actually mature and sensible. And I think making decisions like that, being like discerning about like, what do I need to give my time and energy to, almost like you would at work, like where do I need to focus, what's my priority right now, instead of how can I do all 7 projects at the same. You can't, you wouldn't do that in work, you know what I mean? Like if you had like say multiple things you needed to get done, you would split it up. Do you know what I mean? You would be like, today's priority is this, before lunch, this, after lunch, and then I clock out, done. Tomorrow I'll put my energy on this thing. Like, you wouldn't try to do it all at once. So don't try to do it all at once in your personal life, because you just will put out a poor quality of work. You will probably be more likely to let people down, and you will get frazzled and feel like shit. That's the thing. You don't even feel good and like energized and like you've got anything to give when you're living like that. And that's why I think it's important to just take a breath. Realize that we all, every single person that you're friends with, your family, people online, they all have a capacity. They all can only do so much and only see so many people and answer so many messages. Like, that's the thing. And another thing that people feel bad for, I frequently feel bad for, like when I'm like, oh my god, that friend messaged me like 6 days ago and I haven't opened it, and now I feel really bad, and I've been really busy, but like, that's so long, blah, blah. And then it's like, that's okay. It's okay to have a life, to be busy, to not be completely on top of all of your texts and all your emails and all your friendships and all your work and all your hobbies, blah, blah, blah. Like, you're a human being. Like, lower your expectations of yourself a little bit. And also, like, realize that, like, having a phone on you all the time, to be contacted all the time and be expected to be available to answer really fast is unrealistic again. Like, I feel like back in the day, if someone, like, left you a voicemail or whatever, like, rang your phone and you didn't answer, you could answer the next week and no one would bat an eye. Like, you could answer in, like, a couple of weeks and, like, thanks for getting back to me. Whereas now it's like, if you don't answer within 1 to 3 business days, it's like, oh, they're ignoring me. Like, they've definitely seen that. They go on their phone, like, what? When it's like, yeah, but they're probably busy and they probably don't. That's the thing, people don't have the capacity all the time to, like, answer all their texts and make plans and stuff. Like, that requires energy. And maybe their priority right now is not keeping on top of that shit. Do you know what I mean? Sometimes it is. And sometimes, like, that's the thing, sometimes I'm, like, completely, like, I answer all my messages, I'm so on it with all of my social plans and my messages and my blah, blah, blah. But, like, sometimes if you message me, like, don't expect to hear back from me for, like, 3 weeks. And that's nothing to do with the person or whether or not I want to see them or answer them. It's just, like, things just fluctuate. It depends what's going on in my life, you know? Sometimes I'm just, like, I don't want to talk to anyone. Like, I'm just really anti-social mode. And that's fine, like, as long as you're, like, not being a dick and, like, being honest with yourself and other people, then who cares? You're a person, you're doing your best. You can't do it all at once. And I felt this was an important episode to make because this is, like I said, a problem that I get myself into, and then I, like, start from scratch after, like, crumbling, and I'm like, okay, I'm gonna, like, space things out and be more realistic, and it works, and then I slowly start to try and, like, pick up all the slack on every single area, and then I'm like, oh my god, meltdown. And I'm trying to really get it into my head so that stops happening. But I just think maybe someone out there, like I said, you've either figured out your shit, or you're similar to me, where you're kind of like, figured out mess, or maybe you're always all over the place and trying to do everything and trying to move, and you don't know why you're so tired, you don't know why you're so exhausted, but then when you think about it, what are you doing with your time? You're not letting anything give. You're working, you're exercising, you're seeing your family, you're seeing your friends, you're walking the dog, you're blah, blah, blah. Like, of course you're tired. What's your current priorities? What, everything? No wonder you're tired. Like, you're doing everything on earth at the same time? Like, no shit. You feel really stressed and busy, and that's the thing. Sometimes when you meet up with, like, a family member or a friend or your partner or whatever, and they're, like, really busy and they're trying to do everything, you can tell when you meet them that, like, they've got too much going on, that almost, like, you feel like you want to send them home. Do you know what I mean? Where you're like, I feel like you've come out here and that's great and I'm proud of you, like, you've come out, but, like, you clearly have nothing in your cup. Do you know what I mean? Like, you can feel when someone's, like, exhausted, right? And that's why it's another reason that it's better to prioritize things and be realistic, because, like, you want to be present. Like I said, you want to be present and have stuff to give and have energy to give to the things that you care about, and you can't do that if you're not letting things ebb and flow and go around in that circle. Yeah, I just thought it was an important point to make. I hope it actually makes someone feel like they're not failing and falling behind all the time. If they're like, oh, that's why I always feel really burnt out or whatever, like, just know that no one's doing everything at the same time. No one's juggling all the plates at the same time. You're not falling behind. It's a standard that's an illusion. Maybe that's a fun exercise to do too. Like, if you're like, I'm stressing out, get down some pen and paper, write down, like, what are the things I'm currently prioritizing? Maybe it's like 17 things, and you're like, right, let's figure this out. Work out what currently, like, listen to yourself. What do you actually feel right now like you want to give your energy to? Maybe you need to give your energy to something and you don't have a choice. Sometimes there's, like, something that's really important. But, like, other than that one thing, do you have the capacity for anything else? Maybe. What would really, like, benefit you the most? Maybe it's like, I just really want to get out in nature. I want to go for a walk every day after work. That's my current priority. Instead of seeing friends, I'm going to make sure that I'm just, like, getting out, going on a walk, you know, touching some grass, going for a swim in the sea, like, nature. I just want to, like, ground myself a bit. If that's what you feel you need, give it to yourself. Like, give yourself what you need. Enjoying your life and feeling like you're getting what you need and you're feeling fulfilled and grounded is literally the point of life. So, like, don't go through it trying to tick every box and do your to-do list and see everyone and do everything. You're not enjoying it, you're not present, it's pointless. Yay, you've done a million things and achieved a fuck ton, but have you enjoyed any of it? Have you been present? Have you actually felt good in any of it? No, then it's not such a good achievement, right? But yeah, hopefully this, like, alleviates some anxiety for someone. I would suggest doing that exercise if you fancy, like, writing it down. I'm a big, like, when my head is, like, really scrambled, putting it down on paper, making, like, a tangible, like, what is going on always helps me. But yeah, thank you for listening, and thank you for listening to my problems and my stresses, and